A long time ago, I had a dream.
I have a dream.
Where I could load up a game, shut my brain off and just have fun. Not to have to worry about micromanaging my character's bowel movements, how efficiently my build is, or pick between which weapon I want to take into battle. I prayed for a game where I could feel like an utter badass who doesn't suck at everything I do. Finally, the gaming gods heard my prayers, and through their disciples id Software and Avalanche Studios produced a game which ticks every one of those boxes. Oh, hold on a second. Did I just refer to Bethesda as a god? Rage 2 is yet another in a long line of post-apocalyptic genre games which pushes the boundaries of what a game should be all about. Fun! Most of the games of this genre focus too much on busy tasks and micromanagement that they lose focus on what really counts in a game. After all, a game isn't a job, it's a hobby, a stress reliever, it's entertainment. And that's something Rage 2 provides in spades. That's not to say, however, that Rage 2 doesn't have its faults as you'll see in this review. With that being said and all the bullshit aside, I proudly present to you my review of Rage 2. I tend to throw the mainstream format of scoring out of the window when I review games as I don't believe in it. Instead, I use a tried and tested formula of stating what I believe is good, what I believe is bad, and what I believe is truly ugly. After which you can make your own damn mind up on whether or not you should want to cash in on this madness. First up is the good. Right, the first point is combat. id Software is by far one of the world's best when it comes to creating combat loops, and it shows in Rage 2. The combat is phenomenal and intensely gratifying, with a good mix of gunplay and abilities which when combined effectively turns you into Chuck Norris on crack. All of the weapons invoke a fighting style which can be switched to at the press of a button. However, it would be a crime if I didn't particularly point out the shotgun, which sounds amazing and feels like you're wielding a weapon that's been crafted by Kratos, the god of war himself. The gunplay marries beautifully with an ability set which all revolves around the simple dash ability. It's designed to keep you out of trouble long enough for you to smash your way through everything the game throws at you. The cooldown of the ability ranges from about 15 seconds to 30 seconds, meaning you almost always have an ability ready to deploy when needed. Everything all comes to a head, however, when you've caused enough damage to charge up your overdrive ability. This transforms you from a gun-wielding ranger into an absolute rage machine, hell-bent on causing as many horrific injuries as possible to anybody who dare look in your direction. The overdrive system not only regens your health, but it also activates a second fire mode for each of your weapons apart from the original pistol that you get. These extra powerful modes on your weapon seriously do some mega damage, and it's fun to use, which only makes you look forward to the next time your overdrive is available. All in all, the combat is fluid and quite possibly one of the best I've ever experienced. If Call of Duty 4 and Doom had a love child, this would be it. I also need to point out the vehicle combat, which is fun as hell. You're given a vehicle called Phoenix, which is voiced by the original Wonder Woman Linda Carter. Phoenix's witty and innuendo-filled remarks are a good source of amusement, but it's when you take on a convoy in the open world that Phoenix shows you just how deadly she is. With auto-targeting Gatling guns and a seriously easy to use weapon swap system. Vehicle combat is as fluid and as easy to control as the first person combat, which isn't always easy to pull off. My next good point is there's no micromanagement systems. As a rule of thumb, games set in times where humanity is all but wiped out, a micromanagement system is implemented for the use to spin plates whilst out and about in the open world. Apart from ammo and resources like crafting parts, Rage 2 doesn't adopt any micromanagement system for you to worry about, and even goes to the extent of putting so much ammo and resources out in the open world that you never need to worry about running out of either. To me, this is a blessing in disguise, as those micromanagement system can quite easily, and has done, turned a fun game, a fun hobby, into a job. Which leads me onto the progression system. Rage 2 adopts a simplified progression system to just about every aspect of your loadout, from passive abilities which add quality of life enhancements, to perk system which you can use to adapt weapons and abilities to your own personal playstyle. Every choice you make when choosing the perks adds a different layer of complexity to the game's overall flavour, without making it so complex that you start feeling overwhelmed. Rarely have I seen such an easy to use, easy to understand, and most importantly, easy to implement progression system. It really does work with Rage 2. Another thing that really works with Rage 2? A bloody protagonist that talks! Finally! An open world game where your character isn't a pecky mute! You have no idea how much that winds me up. You can just tell in other games that the choice to have a mute character is one of saving cost rather than adding to the game. Your character, Walker, is voiced by Sam Riegel for the male and Amanda Miller for the female. Both do a good job in adding just enough emotion into the game to keep you sold on your objectives. That's not to say either of them are going for an acting award here, but they both have a set of lines which are delivered at the right times with enough conviction to make you believe it. Which leads me on to the vehicles. From Phoenix, an all-round witty assault vehicle, to Xerxes, an out-and-out devastating tank, you have every type of vehicle imaginable, which is ironic since the name of Rage is actually taken from the word garage or garage. All of the vehicles feel different in an attempt at balancing out various attributes. For instance, Xerxes is a powerhouse that could quite easily wipe out a convoy in just a few blasts from its devastating plasma cannon. That is, of course, if it could bloody keep up with the convoy, which it damn well can't. This means that Xerxes is pretty much suited to one thing, which is stationary support at enemy bases, etc. Phoenix, however, is a well-rounded assault vehicle. She has enough speed to keep up with the convoy and enough power to wipe out all of its protectors with relative ease. This does mean, however, that apart from Icarus with a flying one-seat bicopter, you rarely use anything else other than Phoenix, but the choice is there should you wish to. Speaking of riding round in the vehicle of your choice, that leads me on to the dynamics of the open world. In most open world games like Days Gone or Fallout, everything is out to get you. It's you versus the world. In Rage 2, the world has just descended into chaos with various factions of humans and mutants all fighting amongst themselves for the top spot. You'll often see bands of mutants and humans just slogging it out in all-out warfare as you roam the world doing whatever it is you're doing. The group at the top of the pecking order, however, and your main rival, is the Authority, led by the maniacal General Cross. The Authority are a cultist group of enhanced and bioengineered mutants that believe they are the final solution. Hitler, anybody? They are cruel, powerful, hard to take down in groups, and equipped with a whole range of enhanced weaponry. They also deploy at a moment's notice too, which can be fun, especially when you're about to walk into an arc or something, then all of a sudden you're fighting a bazillion of self-mutilated walking cannons. There is, however, a huge but about the open world, and I'm talking a huge, morbidly obese butt with spots and pimples that smells like it hasn't been wiped effectively in several years. However, to talk about this butt, I'm going to have to transition to the bad, so let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Right, well, to kick off the bad, obviously I'm going to talk about the open world. Yes, there are things going on in the open world. There are groups fighting each other, etc. But as open worlds go, apart from looking for arcs, which are easy to find, and getting points to upgrade your progression list, there is literally no point to explore it. There is an abundance of bases, bounties, and other side quests to take on. But apart from upgrading your various project lists, there is absolutely no reason to engage with them. It's a case of, I need 3 points to get this skill, so I'll go wipe out that base rather than having an actual reason to take it on. When I say reasons to take it on, I mean something like, this base has been, let's take a particular base, which has been sending out raiding parties to one of your main hub and slaughtering everybody there. It has to be stopped, and the only way you can stop it is by taking it out, clearing out the base. That right there is a bona fide reason for you to go and murder everybody. Otherwise, that is all you're actually doing. Murder for no reason. How is that supposed to be a good trait for what you are supposed to be? A wasteland police officer out for justice and keeping order. There is a ton of potential that's been squandered in this open world. Had I been designing it, I would have done something like each area needs to be cleared so that the main hub can expand enough to be able to give you what you need to progress or to take on the authority. I'd have given each region its own faction that controlled it, which needed to be taken out in its entirety before you could go take on the authority. This open world boils down to the same problem many other games have. Lots of things to do, but hardly a reason to do them outside of character progression, and that's a shame, especially since Avalanche are an open world powerhouse and they know better. Which leads me on to a few technical issues. Now, I don't know if this is Avalanche or id, but one of them needs a fecking good kicking for this one. The sound bugs are so obnoxious in this game, it's not even funny. Have a listen to this. What's with the bloody engines? I can't hear you. Speak louder. What? Say again. Oh, for God's sake, I can't hear you. Shut up. Turn the engine off. Shut up. Come in here. I might be able to hear you in here. Come on. Get. Oh, what a dick. Who designed this sound? Who designed the sound engine? What a wanker. That example can be seen in lots of other places. I've had gunfight sounds which have carried on for a good 30 minutes after finishing the battle, to the point where I literally had to restart the game just to shut the damn thing up. There was one time where a single riff from a song, which happened to be like a triangle being hit, got stuck on a loop, and it was so bad it could have easily been considered a violation of Article 3 of the Geneva Convention Act. You know, the one where it gives you freedom from torture and inhumane or degrading treatment. Now, you might be asking, why did I let it play out so long? Well, I'm a bloody reviewer, so I needed to test this shit, otherwise I wouldn't be a reviewer, would I? On top of this, I've also had sound issues where the gun sounds get muted to the point where they sound like you're listening to them through cans with strings attached, and scripted moments where the mouth moves and nothing comes out, leaving me to guess what the hell they're telling me, which wasn't hard, to be fair, as the story is, well, I'll get to that in a minute. On the other hand, visually, I haven't had any problems. The frame rate on an OG PS4 is locked at 30 frames per second, and personally, I never saw it drop below that, well, not significantly anyway. Walking back a bit to the story, Jesus H. Christ, talk about story by bloody numbers. You know when someone says that the actors phoned in its voiceovers? Well, the bloody script was phoned in on this one. It's so generic it made my brain bleed with frustration. This game had so much potential for a great story to be told here, but it's like the story was an afterthought. At the 11th hour, Bethesda asked Avalanche an ID. So, what's this game about? And at that point, they both looked at each other and went, shit! I knew there was something we forgot. Quick! Grab any script from the 1980s action movies. Let's just change a few names. I'm sorry, Avalanche and id, but as the man I consider to be the best YouTuber reviewer in the world would say,
when you fuck up the bike sound effects in your goddamn biker game, you know you done fucked it up!
And that leads me on to the boss fights. Come on in, assuming it's you who designed these, could you not think of anything more generical than shoot a weak spot whilst dodging attacks? I'm the noobiest of noobs, and even I don't find this challenging anymore. The only time I ever found a boss fight or a high level fight to be hard or more challenging was the end boss and the high level sentries, who both combined attacks to make it harder to hit the weak points. Other than that, the boss fights or the challenging ads are just pointless. Speaking of pointless, let's talk about the bikes. You get a great choice of vehicles, however, the one vehicle archetype which is absolutely retarded are the goddamn bikes. They handle like souped up Zambonis. When drifting a car, you can easily gauge where and when to handbrake. On a bike, however, you get no response or full response, making you either not turn a total career into a wall or do a complete 180. In all honesty, the bike's master mode has been removed because you're not going to use them, and the only reason why you would ever use them is to give you a bit more of a challenging time in the open world. That's it. Which leads me on to my last bad point. I'm guessing Madden Tussauds is now offering graphical design out to gaming developers, which is the only explanation I can think of for the wax models which apparently are humans. The enemies in the open world look more convincing than the ones you interact with. I don't know if this is down to the game engine or lack of quality control, but someone somewhere needs a refresh course on model design. Before you say it, yes, I have no idea what it takes to create a convincing character model. However, I do know that the technology exists, and there are people out there who are capable of doing it, or at the very least showing you how it's done. So why did Bethesda let this game go with such poor character models? In 2019, there is no excuse for this anymore, and any game from this point forward will be marked down heavily for piss poor character models. Whether it's a case of poor execution or cost cutting, neither of those can be used as excuses, because neither of those have any place in gaming of today. Which now leads me on to the ugly. Now, for those of you who are unaware, this section covers things which annoy the shit out of me personally. You as a gamer may or may not agree with them, as we're all different. However, it's this section that I leave for things that aren't actually technical issues, but they're enough of an issue that I need to mention them. That way it keeps the review fair. Right, here we go. One upgradable vehicle. Why is Phoenix the only vehicle I can upgrade? I'd have loved to be able to chuck a few Gatling guns on a sports car. Speaking of cars, why is racing more like a sport than a Mad Max style death race, something like Twisted Metal? Give us guns and shit. Make it last man standing. That's what this game's all about, innit? And speaking of races, one auto part per win? Are you kidding me? What's the point in doing a race when a convoy is quicker and gives 15 to 30 parts? It makes the racing irrelevant. Another thing, why can't I customise the look of my Ranger? Yes, I know it's first person shooter, but so is Destiny. And there are times, just like in Destiny, when you see your character. Why the hell can't I make him or her look how I want them to look? Even if it's just the costume or outfit, whatever you want to call it, armour. And my last real bugbear. Why can't I fly as the Crow does when on Icarus? It's an open world game, for God's sake. Icarus is a flying vehicle, yet I have to follow the vicinity of the route. It's stupid! I can't go over a mountain, I can't go over some fecking trees, I just have to follow the damn routes. There are invisible, because you can't really see them, walls that stop you going over, like, bloody canyons and shit. Or if I want to get from point A to point B in a straight line, I can't do it. I have to wind round the bloody path. It's annoying. I'm on a flying vehicle. If I can't do it, take the Icarus out the bastard game or sort it. That's it for my personal gripes. Let's just summarise this all for you in like a TLDR. I've been watching reviews from some great reviewers like Dreamcast Guy, who offers scores like 9 out of 10. I'm sorry, I respect your opinion, but you are literally drinking something far too strong and too much of it to consider Rage 2 a 9 out of 10. It isn't. Does that mean it's a bad game? No, does it bollocks? Rage 2 is fun as hell and is totally bonkers. It has its issues, some are quite big bloody issues as you can see, but that doesn't mean that this game should be striked off your list. Would I recommend this as a full price buy? Not on your bastarding Nelly. However, if you can get it on sale or pick up a second hand copy, you will certainly get your money's worth out of it. Look, not every game needs to be a graphical masterpiece, as fun and entertainment should be the paramount critical point when making any game. However, every AAA game in 2019 and beyond should at the very least earn its full price tag, and with its founding story, sound bugs, and in my opinion, poor choices which were either made because of game engine limitations or cost control, Rage 2 simply doesn't. It's a shame, I know, but that's the straight fact. It doesn't earn its full price tag. What do you think of Rage 2? If you've got to this point, seriously, props. It's a long review. I know like 20 minutes is one of my longest ones, but props here, and I really appreciate your time. However, I'd like to get into the comments and tell me what you think of Rage 2 and what you think of this review. I'd love to know your feedback. So there's nothing really much else to be said. So on that note, thank you for being here. If you have enjoyed it, please leave a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel. I'm not far off 500. I'm so close. I can fucking smell it. So, thank you for being here once again. That's all from me, Mr. B. Ta-ta for now.